Let's talk about a moment that, well, every single parent goes through. Your child looks you right in the eye and tells a lie. It can be so frustrating, right? Maybe even a little heartbreaking. But what if I told you that moment isn't a crisis? What if it's actually an opportunity? Today, we're going to explore how to turn these really tough moments into a chance to connect.
So what do you do? I think our first instinct is usually to confront, to correct, to get to the bottom of it. But today, we're going to completely reframe that. We're going to look at a lie not as some kind of moral failure, but as a signal. It's like a little flare sent up from your child's inner world, telling you, hey, something important is going on in here that I just don't know how to talk about.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why a lie is a signal, not a sentence. Then we'll run through 5 behavioral clues that might tell you something's up. After that, we'll get into the really practical stuff, how to have a conflict-free conversation. And we'll wrap it all up with the most important rule of all, building trust that lasts. Okay, let's really dig into this first big idea. When a child lies, it creates this fork in the road, and honestly, how we react in that exact moment is way more important than the lie itself. This is our chance to connect with them on a much deeper level, not just to correct a behavior on the surface. And this is a really key shift in how we think about it. You see, a lie is rarely about being malicious. So often, it's just a clumsy attempt to solve a problem. Maybe they're afraid of getting in trouble, or they're trying to protect a friend, or maybe they just don't have the emotional tools to face a tough situation head-on. So how can you even tell when something might be a little off? We're going to look at 5 common behavioral clues. But, and this is a really important note, these are not definitive proof, okay? We're not playing detective here. Think of them more like gentle invitations to just pay a little closer attention. And maybe, just maybe, start a conversation. All right, first up, we have a total classic. The story just doesn't add up. You know what I mean? You ask them what happened, and then you ask again later, and the details change. One minute the vase was knocked over by the cat, the next minute a gust of wind blew through the closed window. That little inconsistency is often the first thread you can gently pull on. Second, you want to look for sudden shifts in how they normally act. This could be anything, really. Fidgeting more than usual, suddenly finding the floor fascinating instead of making eye contact, maybe covering their mouth when they talk. Again, it's not about being an interrogator. It's just about noticing when they seem uncomfortable in their own skin.
Our third clue, it is all about the emotions.
A reaction that seems totally out of proportion to what's happening can be a real red flag. Are they suddenly super defensive or aggressive over a simple question? Or, and this is the flip side, are they weirdly calm when you'd expect them to be at least a little worked up? Okay, number 4 can be a little counterintuitive. You know, sometimes a child might just volunteer way too much information. They'll spin this tale with tons of tiny, specific, and totally unnecessary details, hoping that the sheer volume of facts will make the whole thing sound more believable.
And our 5th and final clue to watch for is this.
They get defensive immediately. You might ask a simple, non-accusatory question like, hey, what happened with the mess in the kitchen? And they fire back with, it wasn't me. Why are you always blaming me? That knee-jerk reaction could be a sign that there's more to the story. Okay, so you've noticed a few clues. Now for the most important part of this whole thing. What do you do about it? This is where we get into the practical, hands-on communication tools that can turn what could be a huge fight into a moment of real connection. The goal here is something we call a trustful dialogue, and the whole focus is on empathy. This is not an interrogation designed to get a confession. It's a conversation to understand their world. We want to find out why they felt they needed to lie in the first place. That's where the real growth happens, for both of you. So how do we actually do this? It's 4 pretty simple steps. First, you've got to stay calm and pick the right time and place, somewhere private and relaxed. Don't jump into this when you're angry or in a rush. Second, use I statements. Instead of, you lied, try something like, I'm feeling a little confused because the story isn't quite adding up for me. See the difference? Third, ask open-ended questions like, can you help me understand what was going on? And finally, this is the hardest one. Listen more than you talk. Just give them the quiet space to share. And if you need a way to start, here is an absolute game changer. This one phrase is almost magic. It seems like something is bothering you. Let's talk.
It doesn't accuse, it shows you care, and it swings the door wide open for a real conversation instead of slamming it shut. It tells them right from the start that you are on their team.
So all these clues, all these communication tips, where is it all leading? Well, it all serves one big long-term goal. This is the main rule that supports everything else we've talked about, actively, intentionally building trust. Think about it. We basically have two paths. On one hand, we can focus on punishment. And what does that do? It creates fear, which usually just teaches kids to become better, more secretive liars. But on the other hand, we can focus on understanding, on figuring out the why together. And that builds real, solid trust. It encourages them to be open, and it makes your connection so much stronger. So if you only take one single thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. It's so simple, but so powerful. The next time you think your child might be lying, just remind yourself, the goal is not a confession. The goal is connection. You know, that little shift in your mindset can change everything. It turns a moment of potential conflict into one of the best parenting moments you can have. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What conversation about trust, no matter how big or how small, will you start today?